Class is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Assalamualaikum and very good afternoon to all of you today. Thank you for coming for our fifth, the webinar session from Machinery and Equipment Productivity Nexus, or in short called MEPN. I'm Mazlina, the MEPN Program Manager from Malaysia Productivity Corporation. So basically, MEPN was set up as one of the 9 productivity nexus under the Malaysia Productivity Blueprint introduced in May 2017. So the main purpose of the productivity nexus is to drive the implementation of the initiative in close partnership with the government. Machinery and Engineering Industry Federation, or as well known as MEIF, has been tasked to champion the MEPN on behalf of the machinery and equipment industries. So the MEIF actually covers 7 associations under that federation. One of them is the Malaysian Automation and Technology Association, Malaysia Machinery and Equipment Manufacturer Association, and also SME Association is part of the MEIF federations. So this is our 5th webinar series actually. So today we would like to bring the topic more on the supply chain, on the machinery, on the for the semiconductors. So with me today, we have the Mr. David Khor. Mr. David Khor is our moderator today. Mr. Chan and also Miss Wendy from the MISI equipment to share with you on this blueprint of supply chain of the machinery equipment industries, in particular in their experience towards across the value chains. So without further ado, I would like to pass this discussion to Mr. Devi to introduce briefly on speakers biodata. So please welcome Mr. Devi.
Thank you, Dr. Mazlina. Thank you for all the participants who spent time this afternoon. So I will be the moderator for these sessions. My name is David Khor. So just a housekeeping. This is 1 hour webinar sessions, okay, hosted by MPC under EPN. And also after this, I will tell you a little bit about the objective of this webinar. Then after that, I will introduce our speaker, and also after this, I will introduce some of the briefing on our semiconductor ecosystem in Malaysia. Then after that, we will have a question and answer sessions, and the question and answer actually we will go through all the presentation. Then only at the same time you can write down your questions. And then after that, we have a question and answer session by the end. Then we will read your question. Then we will ask our panel speaker to answer. And also at the same time, we would like to you to have a very easy way to key in all the idea that you have. You can share with us as well. Then we will end the discussion with a wrap up or conclusions. Okay. So I would like to introduce today webinar objective. Actually, today we are in the MCO 3. So I'm counting down. We have another 5 days to go to until 28th of April. So we do not know MCO will be extended or will be leave. We do not know. But I received the information that tonight 8 o'clock our Prime Minister will make an announcement what is going to do next. So for today's session, the objective is to prepare for the current and also the post-COVID-19 pandemic, okay, or so-called post-MCO, how government authorities and agencies can work closely with the industry players, right, for a smooth business executions to improve our productivity. So what I mean is that improve the productivity here is we can improve in terms of the time. Okay, we can save some time. There is improve the productivity as well. Okay, we don't have a waste time, so we can execute all the manufacturing until reach the customer end in a very short time. That will be good. Let me introduce our speaker now. Okay, we are glad the company that who helped us to have this webinar session is from the MI Equipment. Okay, or we call it MI Technovations, right? Berhad. So let me introduce the speaker number one, Mr. TK Chan. Okay. Mr. Chan have about 10 years experience in semiconductor equipment manufacturing. He is qualified the mechanical engineers, and he started his career in the mechanical as a mechanical designer. After that, he been promoting to doing the design and development, spearhead some of the R&D projects. Then he started to involve in the machine design development, and follow up by promoted to become the product manager. So currently, he holds a position as the director of manufacturing and development engineering in the MI Equipments. So he have with his experience, especially from the design background until he's in the running the manufacturing of the organization. So he have a lot of experience that he can share with us. He understand what is the supply chain and what are the tasks that he need to carry out, especially during these MCO sessions. So our second speaker is Miss Mandy Wong. Mandy basically have more than 20 years experience. She is a qualified chartered accountant as a member of the Malaysia Institute of the Certified Public Accountants, and also members of the Malaysian Institute of Accountants. So Mandy, with her master degree, she start the career with Ernst & Young Tax Consultations. Then after that, he moved on to some of the semiconductor industry company like Groptronics. So he works currently. He works as a corporate finance director now at MI Technovations Berhad. So with both of our speakers have a very wide experience in this industry. So we hope that they can share with us from the semiconductors industry standpoint and the machinery equipment making standpoint, how the supply chain ecosystem that may impact. Okay, so before we start, I would like to calibrate everyone in the same page. That because I understand that there are numbers of our government agency officer participate in our event. So some of them do not have semiconductors experience. So let me have a very quick background to let people understand. Okay, semiconductor industry actually is a top 5. Okay, actually it's our top export. Okay, for last year or for the previous year. So it totally consists of 372.6 billion. Okay, it's a total about 37.8 of our total country export for Malaysia. So it's an important sector to Malaysia. So out of the 372.6 billion ringgit, 221.9 actually is come from the semiconductor device, which is more for the IC chip components. That is the one. So a lot of people have asking, hey, what is happening there in semiconductors? We heard that the demand is up and down. We refer to some of the report from the IC Insights, Gartner, and also we have semiconductors, the digest. Some of the reports is saying, okay, so the number is often what is published the latest by the IC Design is for April. The total number that we expect for the whole world actually were down to 345 billion US. Indirectly, you say that we will experience back-to-back, the decline growth for 2019 and 2020. Okay, so this is the forecast from some of the consultations company work on that. And from the Malaysia standpoint, we are expecting some of the number. When I look at the number for our growth this year, so we have export 372.7 billion last year. So this year, the forecast that the simulation that I've run, actually we are about 280 billion ringgit. This is just a forecast, but we hope that we can do much better than that, because I understand that some of the company today under NCO, they are only allowed to run of the 50% of their capacity. But a lot of the many companies now, I get the inputs that even with the 50% of their capacity, they are trying their best to come up with the output of the 75%. And some of them show me that they can push to 78% by this week. So I think there's a lot of innovation that happened in the manufacturing area. We do not know what is there. Maybe Mr. TK Chan can share with us later, because we see that with the half of the capacity, our manufacturer try to run back to near to the full capacity. Currently, they are about 75% of capacity, which is very, very great. But it's not easy to make that happen. So today's discussion is we know that some of the forecasts saying that we will see some of the number that what we have. They will, for the IC chip maker, they are trying to have some safety stock. So in the Q2. So if that is really happen, so we hope that for the MCO or the post MCO, what our manufacturer can work with our authority in a different way, and that how to make it smoother, how to make all the execution much faster. So this is the idea that for this webinar we call off. So for today, the discussion that we have, okay, for this, actually, I would like to share with you that this is the calibration. This is our entire semiconductor ecosystem in Malaysia. So some of them you see red, or it doesn't matter, but I want to tell you that is from the design until fabrication, until you come up with the components. Then the bottom portion, you see that there is the product development, design, SMT, and all that. So this is our ecosystem in the semiconductor industry in Malaysia. So when we are doing that, so we build our own capability. So the company, the word I put it there highlighted, that is the mechanical equipment and automation and robotics. These are the company that supporting our manufacturers today. This is the company previously. Some of them start from tooling. They just provide some of the component, some of the part to be a spare part for the manufacturers. Then after that, they build a module. Then after that, they're able to make a machine or equipment to support the industry. So this is the area that we look for that. So we need to understand what are they doing in this particular area. So for that, actually, you can, for the government officer, you know that we name normally the top part is we need that's the component developments. Then the bottom part actually is the product development. So end of the product development, that's why you see the some application for the optical, RF, display, data storage, and etc. So this is the semiconductor industry that in Malaysia. So I zoom it down to the little bit detail in order to have a semiconductor process to come up with a component level. So actually we start some of the area that in the IC design. So this is the area that we have the designer design the IC. Okay, then we from the IC then we move forward. So there's a design like a house. We need an architect. So the architect will design the house. Okay, so some of the industry player, local and also international. We have our local company like Opstar, Skychip, QRF, and all that. But of course, we have a lot of multinational as well, like Intel. Okay, we have the Cypress and all that. So this is the company that who involved in IC design activity in Malaysia. And you will notice that we also have an association. We call them MIDA, Malaysia IC Design Association, that to do some coordination to help. Okay, so from there, I would like you to understand that in the semiconductors, sometimes you heard someone say, I work in the front end. Then some of them say that I work in the back end. So what is that? So from there, after IC been designed, then they will send to the fabrication house. So from fabrication house, you see there is a photomask, wafer, and fabrication. So more likely all this happen in the wafer foundry or wafer fab. So some of the fab that we have in Malaysia, like Cetera, what the Cetera is doing to fabricate a chip. Then we have Infineon, onsemi, XFab, Fuji, Okay, so these are the company that who are fabricating the chips in semiconductor. And there is an association form out there. They call the SFARM. Okay, it's an association for the wafer fabrications. So this is a front end players. So on top of front end, so when the chip is coming up from the as a wafer level, so they would need to send to the packaging house to pack. So some of the technology they call bumping or packaging. After that, after pack, assembly and pack, then they will do the testing. So this is an area that the component will be made in a semiconductor. So those activity happen in this area, we name it as a semiconductor back end. So from there, there are various of the company that in Malaysia who working on that. Our local players, including the KSM, Inari, Unisem, and Globtronic. The international player in this area like the ASE, Khor, and including some of the ID company like Intel and all that is a IDM company. Okay, so basically I explained to you what is the processes to come out of component from IC design, front end, and back end. So the next slide, actually, we wish to narrow it down to understand what is happening in the back end. Okay, that's how today our discussion for the supply chain in this area. Mainly their customer or the company that who run the packaging, assembly, packaging, and test, actually a company like KSM, Unisem, Inari, all that. But who are their suppliers? Okay, to provide the equipment to them to do this task. So this is the area that we look at the area. You look at that, a company like MI Equipment, Pentamaster, SRM, STEC, NSW, ACM, Assistec, GridTech, Vitroc, TT Vision, and also the Acoustic Master. Some of the company you may not familiar but this is our local company that who provide the support to the manufacturers like KSM, Unisem, Inari, Globtronic, and etc. So maybe it's new to you, but doesn't matter. Later you listen a little bit more. What are they doing in that particular area? Because they are the one that design the machine. Okay. So in the other hand, the test equipment, actually we have our local company like Emulus, the overseas company like One Test and Teradyne. Okay, so this is some of our Malaysian company. While we are growing our semiconductor industry, we managed to groom some of the company out of that, like all you see that the MI Equipment, this kind of company. It's a local Malaysian company that have grown up, and they are participating not only Malaysia, but they are the international players. Okay, move on. That you can see the mechanical equipment and automation robot that session. Actually, this is the equipment that built by our local player. Okay, so for example, like MI Equipment, all this they build all this equipment then to provide into that manufacturers. So from there, we need to narrow it down a little bit. We need to know what is their supplier actually. So who supply the materials and all these to them. So this is a area that we try to encounter. What are they doing? And from the tier 1 supplier, who are their tier 2 supplier that evolve? So during the MCO 1 and 2, there are a lot of the SME trying to contact me because they cannot get approval for meeting. The reason is because they cannot be seen in the whole ecosystem. Actually, it is some of the challenges because these SME, they are very small, but they play certain role in the tier 2 or tier 3 or tier 4 supplier to these manufacturers. So today we would like to invite our panels, okay, speaker to share with us. They are from the MI Innovations or MI Equipment. They will share how MI play the role in this, and also how they're taking care of the supply chain. So after that, you will ask them to give some forecast what may happen in the post MCO or post COVID-19. So some of the view that they look at that. There is no right or wrong, but we would like to hear from there how they feel on that. Then after that, we go for the question and answer. MI Equipment. Maybe a lot of people heard name of Penta Master, but maybe you never really know what is MI Equipment doing. I would like to invite Miss Mandy Wong, the Director of the Corporate Finance from the MI Equipment, to share with us what is MI Equipment, what are they doing, and give us some brief introduction, and they can move on from there. Okay, over to you, Miss Mandy Wong.
Yeah, thanks, David.
Yeah.
Very good afternoon to everyone. Okay, so for the next few slides, myself and Mr. TK Chan will be going to take you through who MI Equipment is, what we are doing, and our supply chain ecosystem. Okay, so now we start off with the MI Equipment, our history and our future. So as you can see from the slides, we started off since 2007. Our company history can be traced back to April 2007, where our CEO, Mr. Oh Kwang Eng, co-founded the DPE integration with his friends and former colleagues. So DPE was principally involved in the development, manufacture, sale, and assembly and packaging of equipment, which is dealing with the bare die, LED die, and also the QFN pick and place equipment. So over the first 3 years since incorporation of DPE, the company was mainly involved in the R&D of the die processing equipment. So next, then when it comes to our second phase, the DPE, during the DPE era is that the next 4 years that we have successfully developed the K series and the SK series, which are mainly is for the die sorting, for die level test capability, sidewall inspection, rotary concept die sorting equipment. So along the way, during year 2012, our management of DPE has recognized the market potential for this wafer level chip scale packaging, assembly, and packaging equipment. So therefore, and we changed our direction to focus on WLCSP sorting machine. This is the time where MI Equipment has been incorporated in June 2012. Yeah, during that years 2010 to 2013, while we are still running the DPE integration, MI Equipment has been set up in preparation to take over the manufacturing of the WLCSP sorting machine. So during year 2013 until 2014, it has been a transition of business activities from DPE to MI Equipment. And thereafter, DPE has ceased operations in June 2014. Yeah, then next will come into the era of MI Equipment since 2014 until now. Yeah, in the phase 3 of year 2015 to 2018, the company has commenced the business operations in December 2013. So based on our engineering and technical expertise to design and develop our in-house brand of equipment, over the years, we have been emerging as the leading manufacturer of equipment used for this advanced packaging in the semiconductor industry. Here, in MI Equipment, we have been focusing in die sorting and testing equipment, where we have the assembly and packaging equipment, final test equipment, as well as the vision inspection equipment. Then next, in terms to 2017, along the years, we have been building up our reputation in the semiconductor industry, and we have built our customer base and developed and established a good business relationship with the main players in the semicon industry, which is mainly comprised of the IDMs and OSATs, which involve in the manufacturing, testing, assembly, and packaging of advanced wafer level packages, which require the sorting machines. And we have our customer base across 10 countries. With a good track record over the past few years, In April 2017, we started to initiate our IPO exercise. And on 20th June of 2018, we have successfully get listed on the main market of Bursa Malaysia, which is under the share of our holding company, MI Technovation Berhad. And MI Equipment, it will be the main key contributor within the MI Technovation. And in year 2018, it was a remarkable year in our corporate journey, whereby the IPO proceeds has paved the way for our future expansion in the next 5 years. Yeah. Next, we come to this phase 4 of MI Technovation era, which we have carved out our 5-year blueprint for year 2019 until 2023. The IPO proceeds has supercharged our growth plans. So the new plant, we have successfully built our new plant with IPO proceeds, which is located in Bayanda Pass, and commenced the operations in June 2019. With the capacity expansions, wider product range that we can offer to our customer, we can gradually increase our market presence globally. And we have also moved from offering a single product to multiple products across the multiple industries. Yeah, so now we are focusing is on the MI equipment. We focus on the standard semiconductor equipment business, which comprise 3 main big categories, which is assembly equipment, final test, and vision inspection equipment. Yeah, that's some brief history and what our future plans for MI equipment. Next, I will move on to introduce to you some of our technology, our products, and the R&D front. Yes, David, can you please go to the next screen? Next slide, please. Yeah, as you can see from the slide here, we have 3 main product groups: assembly, final test, and vision inspection. These are mainly built based on our engineering and technical expertise with our in-house developed brand. 5 series has been successfully commercialized over the last 1-2 years. During the first phase, the phase 3, which I explained just now, MI equipment era, we have been operating by our 1 major flagship product, which is the MI series, under the assembly and equipment product category. This is a WLCSP die sorting machine with the inspection and the testing capabilities, and it can be used in the conventional packaging processes as well. With this flagship key single product, we have been able to propel into this international arena alongside with the more established European and Japanese players. So MI series, our flagship. It is a die sorting machine from wafer to tape for bare die, bump, and flip chip, and also the WLCSP. There are also 2 new series that has been developed over the last 2 years, which is the AI series, is a die bonder machine, and also the LI series, which is a wafer reconstruction machine for the fan-out wafer level package. Apart from this, we have also developed a final test equipment, which we name it as the SI series. This is a final test equipment for the WLCSP, fine pitch, high density substrate, and the BGA. And then the last product group is our vision inspection equipment, which we call it VI series. This semiconductor inspection system equipped with visible and also invisible lights, and also laser and inspection system designed for the internal structures and defect inspection. As we all know, because we are engineering and technology company, so protecting our technology and IP is paramount to us. So our commercial success actually very much depends on the obtaining and maintaining the proprietary rights, as well as defending against the third-party infringement. To date, we have been granted 4 patents and have 20 patents pending in terms of IP front. So with this, all these patents in place, we are able to set a high entry barrier to our competitors into this line. Okay, that's all for my brief presentations on MI equipment. And now I'll pass on to Mr. DK Chan to introduce to you on our supply chain. Pass to you, DK.
Okay, hi, good afternoon to all of you. Okay, so right now I would like to share with you all about the MI equipment manufacturing supply chain. Okay, I will try to give you all a more clearer picture, right? Okay, how a machine, okay, what is the process that involved to build a complete machine? Okay, so you can see from the screen, right? Okay, there is a several stage of process in order to complete the whole machine build. There is raw material stage, okay, then the stage 2 is assembly and wiring, stage 3 is a machine set up and buy off and get ready the complete machine. Okay, so for the first stage, this is the raw material. So this is the very important for us. Okay, in this stage, it will involve a lot of supplier to provide us all the piece parts, component like metal fabrication parts, okay, standard component like motor, power, supply, vision system, cable, and so on. So you can see from the picture, right? There is a piece parts, there is a wires, that all of this we need it, okay, to proceed to move for the stage 2. Okay, so once we have all the ready material, then we will move to the stage 2, where is the assembly and wiring stage. So in this stage, we need a subcontractor, okay, to helping us on the module and the machine assembly and wiring. Once it's complete, okay, once it's complete the machine wirings, okay, the machine assembly, okay, they will assemble, okay, all the piece parts become a module, and then the module will be integrated into the machine. And also the wiring team, they will perform the wiring process, okay, to connect all the components together to make a machine complete. Okay, so once it's complete, then the machine will proceed to perform the setup and buy off. Okay, where is the stage 3 of our process. So in this stage, our in-house technician will start to setting up the machine from zero, okay, and also perform the alignment and tune the machine to the tip-top condition. So they want to make sure that the machine is able to run smoothly, okay, before they hands over to the buy-off team. So once the machine is ready, our buy-off team will start to perform the machine buy-off, okay, process to make sure that the machine is able to meet the customer requirements, like the machine UPH, machine speeds, okay, like the machine U, okay. They need to make sure that all the spec from the customer that we need to meet, okay. So once the machine buy-off done, okay, it means that we meet all the spec of our customer, so the machine will become a ready to ship product. Once we get a green light, okay, once we get a green light from our customer, then we will ship the machine to them, like a Broadcom, Qualcomm, onsemi, Skywork, AAC, Amco, Inari, and so on. So based on the overall picture of the supply chain, stage 1 raw material playing a very important role, okay, as it involves a lot of the vendor and supplier in this stage. And same as the stage number 2, assembly and wiring as well. We also need a subcontractor. So let us move to the next page. Okay, I will share more about our local supply chains. Okay, so based on the local supply chain, we can divide it into few categories. So you can see right from the chart. Okay, from the chart in the left. Okay, you can see we have an optical system supplier and metal fabrication supplier that we classify it as a critical. This supplier is very important for us, as they are provide all the high precision parts and very important parts to us. Okay, so we really rely on them, okay, to provide us all those important stuff, okay, all the important materials for us to proceed to move on. Then we go to the last population supplier, okay. So they in this supplier chain, right? Okay, there's a lot of electronic component supplier, mechanical component suppliers will be involved to provide us the electronic component like motor, power supply, MCB, okay, and also the mechanical component like bearing, actuator, cylinder, pneumatic system, and so on. Okay, so besides, we also have a local subcontractor, which we classify as a labor intensive, okay, to help us in the machine assembly and wiring. As what I mentioned in the previous slide, there's a stage 2 that we need them to help us to assembly and to perform the wiring of the machine once they have all the raw material. So based on the category that we have, okay, currently 50% of the supplier is already get approval from MISI to operate in the minimum capacity. There is still 30% of the supplier get rejected by MISI, and 20% of the supplier still pending approval. So I hope they are able to get the approval soon, okay, to support our entire supply chains. So this is the overall picture on how important is of our supply chain or labor intensive in our company. Okay, they need to have a full support to us in order for us to build a complete machine. Okay, so yeah, maybe you can move next. So come to here, right? Okay, there's one patient. Okay, what will be the challenge? Okay, what will be the challenge? Okay, after the COVID-19. Okay, you all can see, right? You all can see from the screen. Okay, here is divided into 3 areas. Okay, there's a pre-lockdown, okay, during a lockdown, and post-lockdown. So what's the challenge that we were facing after the post-lockdown? Okay, the key challenge that we were facing is to rebuild the supply chain ecosystem. Okay, you can see from the slide, before the COVID-19, okay, we have our supply chain ecosystem is built and very strong. Okay, you can see from the slide. Okay, you see all the green dot, right, is represented our supply chain. Okay, they are operated. Okay, so all of our suppliers able to give us a full support on our demand. Okay, so but during the MCO periods, okay, in the lockdown periods, our supply chain ecosystem is disrupted. Okay, you can see from here, right? Right now, some of the supplier is been approved to operate in a minimum operation, okay, as indicated in the yellow dot, and some of the supplier is still pending approval, which indicate in the blue dot, and some of the supplier are get rejected by MISI. So in this kind of structure, right, this kind of supplier chain ecosystem, okay, the supply chains to MI equipment will be, you can see the support arrow, right, is just left one. Okay, so after the post lockdown, okay, so for those suppliers who are getting approval from MISI to operate during the MCO period, should be able to survive and continue to giving us a full support to MI equipment. But for those are fear to get the approval to operate, we are not sure, are they still able to survive or not? They may facing a financial problem, as most of the hub machining supplier is getting a loan from bank to buy a machine. So they may fail to overcome this kind of crisis. This is why, right, you can see at the phase 3, as a post-lockdown, okay, this is the big challenge that we may facing, okay, to rebuild the supply chain ecosystem, to make sure that the strong support, okay, will be rebuilt again. So this is the overall challenge that we may facing, okay, on how to rebuild the supply chain ecosystem. Okay, so the next I will pass to Mandy to share with you about the overall supply chain impact.
Hi, yeah, let me just continue with this slide. This is just a wrap up from MI equipment perspective, what we have been facing during this crisis period, what we have experienced. So over the supply chain challenges. So during, as you can see, during the pre-lockdown period, is kind of a red alert to all of us. It's within a short time frame, the situation become worse. Then the general situation that we were facing is that we have a very limited time and options for preparations, how to countermeasure during this crisis, the COVID crisis. And also at the same time, we have need to also to think of how to protect our staff. Yeah, in terms of their health and wellness, because the staff is our biggest human capital in sustaining our business operations. And also, we are also assessing what are the countermeasures that we need to take in order to fight against this COVID impact. And also assess whatever possible ways of short-term options that may exist for logistics and supply, so that to mitigate or to bring it to a very minimal impact to our business operation. This is during the pre-lockdown period. So what we face in this in lockdown period, then we have been facing disrupted or delays in the supply chain, and also we are facing some capacity crunches because we are just get approval to operate at a minimal level, not more than 50% of our normal capacity. So in this constrained situation, we have to weigh ourselves. What are the activities prioritizations, the reallocation of our limited resources available during this lockdown period? So we have to weigh which is more important and focus on the priority items. And also during this lockdown period, from our point of view, we would think that the transparency in the government policies and procedure setting is very crucial and critical to the industry and also the whole supply chain, because we must be all well aware on the countermeasures, COVID-19 impact containment measures, and also as well as the financial aid will be provided by the government to support all our supply chain, our industry players, so as we will not get hit so seriously, hopefully on that. Yeah. Then what will happen after the post-lockdown period? So I think most of us will be also facing the same scenario. No one can be exempted in this crisis period. Yeah. So if we successfully get the MCO period get lifted, we may need to think of the few following key questions that how to help us through this crisis period. How can we re-establish our end-to-end supply chain as smoothly as possible? Just be reminded that no one in the industry, no one single industry player can participate or resume smoothly of the others in the whole supply chain. So it is very important and crucial that the capacity in the whole supply chain, the end-to-end supply chain, must be able to be restored and ramped up as smoothly as possible. And also we have to also think of how are we able to maintain our financial stability? Will there be any continued financial assistance or financial aids to be government in helping us, the supply chain, especially the local supply chain, to survive and get through this difficult period? So, and also there are a few more things that we have to think of, the objectives that we must be set in mind in this post-lockdown, which is we have still to focus on the safety and the well-being of our people, our staff, and also ensure the continuity in the supply chain and to manage our customer satisfaction. Because during the lockdown period, there has been backlogs and interruption happens. So we would need to think of how to ramp up our backlog orders in order to meet our customers' requirements as much as possible. And also we have also need to think of how we are able to preserve our cash and optimize the use of the scarce resources during this crisis period. We have to weigh whether to preserve our cash or to build up inventory. This constraints in a constrained situation. So, and all in all, we must be able to build a more resilience in the supply chain and also to prepare the whole supply chain, the end-to-end supply chain, just any single individual industry player. We must be all well prepared to get during the and also the new normal. Yeah, that's all from my from MI equipment perspective, just to share with you. Yeah, that's all from my. I'll pass back to David then. Thank you.
I would like thank you for Mr. TK Chan and also Ms. Mandy Wong's inputs and sharing just now. So I saw there's a number of questions been raised up by the participants. So I will choose some of them. Okay, so for question from Mr. H.C. Lee is asking about for the critical component section of your supply chain, what percentage of your suppliers are outside Malaysia? So meaning that the level of dependence of the foreign suppliers. So that is the question. Can I over to Mr. TK? TK, your input?
Yeah, okay, probably it's 30 to 40%. Okay, the critical part is from the overseas. Can you?
Okay, good. Yeah. So I think the number is about 30 to 40%, right? Right. The critical part from overseas. Yeah. Okay. So the other questions are highlighted. The participant wish to know not the exact figures. What is a rough number of your suppliers? You don't need to answer exactly number. Maybe roughly the number 300, 500. I do not know. But from my experience last time when I was working with the prime materials, when we also built the machine. We have about 2,500 part number for one machine or one equipment, but the supplier is about 800. So I do not know how about MI equipment. So over to you. Maybe either TK or Mandy can answer for this.
Yeah, I can answer for this. Okay, probably it's around 75 to 100 supplier.
Okay, 75 to 100. Is that? Am I right?
Yes, right.
Okay, so I have a question from government officers. They're asking this question. Did MI equipment get any government assistance in growth period, like in 2007 to 20 and from 2012 to 207 to 2012? Do you get the government assistance from there during that time frame, 2007 to 2012? From the MI
equipment standpoint, 2007 until 2020 and 12, over the very initial stage of MI.
Yes.
That is during the time of DPE. I think not much that we have gotten from. I think the main is the grant. There are some grant that when we participated in these exhibitions, we are applying for the grant. Yeah, but nothing much. We have been self-sustaining. Go through all of it.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so during that time, okay, so and I hear you. There is another questions from the government officer as well, asking that from your personal standpoint, I mean from your view, can tier 3 and tier 4 supplier consolidated like to do some M&A? So what is your point on that?
Maybe you mean that they are.
We are a pioneer. We have been pioneer status by the government for the 10 years.
Okay. Yeah, I would like to rephrase my question again, actually, from agency, asking that can tier 3 and tier 4 supplier can be consolidated under M&A? This is nothing related to the MI equipments, but from your experience, Ms. Mandy, do you think that tier 3, tier 4 can be consolidated under M&A?
Sorry, David, can you please repeat again? Just now I lost the connection. Just resume back. Yeah, what is the question?
The question is from the government agencies asking, is it possible for tier 3 and tier 4 supplier can be consolidated under M&A? Can you hear?
Tier 4 supplier consolidated.
Yeah.
From my personal point of view, it might have such a possibility. If really by doing on their own, if too tough, then the consolidations by collaborations or joint merge the efforts and capacities, maybe it might survive them. Yeah.
Okay. So I still receive there's a big number of the questions coming in. So I just choose another one or two. Okay. The questions. Okay. So I think this one is answer. They are asking what is the total number of your local supplier. So just now you have answer. You have 30-40% foreign. So you maybe you have about 60% of the local supplier. So I think I can answer on that. Okay, another question from Jason. Okay, his question is seem like sheet metal is critical issue for you, and in Penang there are limited sheet metal supplier. So how you solve this problem?
Okay. In Penang, right, means that eventually, okay, like for us, right, we will try to get some supplier from other stage, okay, like KL, right, okay, to get the supplier of sheet metal to assist us as well. It's not just mainly from Penang, okay, it's from other states as well.
Okay. Right, thanks. So I received another question from the SME local. So from Mr. Fauzi Yaya, asking about do you have a plan to help your local supplier to support your imported critical parts? I mean, you have do you opt for the local supplier rather than you depend on the foreign supplier?
Yes, we are local suppliers. No, we are not just depend on the foreign supplier. Local supplier is very important for us. Okay, for us to get all the raw materials, like those the fabrication parts, right? Okay, those items is very important for us.
Okay, thanks. Good input. I think they also look for that. Another question about the IP. This one is from my Prime Minister Office friend asking, where do you file the patent in Malaysia or overseas? Those the R&D output that you have doing for the design and all that. So where do you file the patent, local or overseas?
Yeah, both also we have. But main the 4 patents that granted so far is from the Malaysia. And we have also now in the stage of filing a few key processes in overseas, whereby like Taiwan, Korea, Philippines. That is still at the drafting stage, at the application stage. Yeah. So, but anyhow, still the main countries, the location for the patent filing is in Malaysia. Our focus. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you. I think we only have 5 minutes left. I think I would like to wrap up all the questions. So those questions that we are not able to answer for today, we will try to update you in the email or others. And we have Dr. Manzalina. Maybe Dr. Manzalina want to brief a little bit about some of the MEPN initiative moving forward to next week. I heard the MPC have some of the clinic session, especially which to help our local SME, especially who are in difficulties or in suffering due to the MCO lockdown. So all the operation have been stopped. So this is a clinic session that MPC wish to launch and help. And can I have Dr. Madrina to update us in 1 or 2 minutes on this? Thank you.
Hi, actually, MPC and also MEPN, we would like to have, we would like to launch the virtual advisory clinics, especially for the SMEs, in helping them in the area of financial assistance, in area of the innovation process, as well as the area of intelligent manufacturing solution. So this is the area that we would like to help with our experts, with our advisors. So we have appointed several advisors to help the SMEs who actually need help from us, and then we will open the application form for those who are interested and fill in the application form with your issues. What is the type of all the challenges that you face in, and then what type of the advice you need from us, so you can fill in the application form. We will post it in tomorrow afternoon. So we will launch it tomorrow afternoon. The promotion will do in the next tomorrow. We will email to all of the participants and also promote our media social network. So perhaps who would like to participate in this program? So actually we only offer for 100 SMEs at this moment, because we want to have a try run of our virtual clinic. So if there is a overwhelmed request from the others, we will expand the clinic in the future. So it is all about our virtual advisory clinics that MEPN plan to do by tomorrow. Perhaps we will launch it by tomorrow. So Mr. David, maybe we can sum up the session for today. I pass it over to you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Madrina, for the update. So once again, I would like to thank the MI Equipment representatives, Mr. TK Chan and also Ms. Mandy Wong, willing to spend their time with us. On behalf of the MEPN and MPC, I would like to say thank you to both of you, and also thank you to Mr. O, your CEO, which is very supportive and very helpful when we ask for this webinar session to be conducted. And also before we wrap up everything that, so I just have a quick summary on what have been discussed today. We see that there is a semiconductor still a very important industry in Malaysia. So it's still the major export of the country. We consider about 37.8% of our export. So we will see some of the challenges, and we see the due to the COVID-19, the supply chain ecosystem have been disrupted, and also we foresee that after the post MCO, there will be some of the disrupt of some of the gray area that mean our supply chain, our local SME supplier maybe need to reconsolidate, or we need to readjust. So we do not know what may happen, but we prepare for that. The company like MI Equipment will take some of the flagship to help some of the local supplier. Some of them need to transform as what we have predicted, because our life may not be normal like previous. So it's a new normal, how we move on. So finally, I would like to thank you everyone who participate for this webinar session. Really appreciate and thank you all your time. For all my Muslim friends, I would like to say selamat menyambut bulan Ramadan. Okay, selamat berpuasa. And for the rest of us, please stay safe and also stay healthy. Thank you very much, and also we really appreciate that. There will be other series of the webinar will be conducted by MPC. We hope will trigger you, and we hope that you can join us in the next series. So of course, your time is valuable. We appreciate that. Once again, we would like to say thank you for your participation. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Right,
Thanks.
right,
Bye. Bye.
Great. Thank you, David. Yeah.
Okay, so everything okay? Dr. Izaha?
Good show. Yeah. See you around, David.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye. Thank you. Appreciate your support, Dr. Izaha.